All right, so BGA in a nutshell. Uh, BGA is a hybrid education. So we are a hybrid school that works with a digital curriculum and in-person learning. So we have a hub where learners are allowed to go for 5 hours a day or more, but they can pick their own schedule throughout the day of when they want to go there. And then we have the digital aspect, which we have a digital online curriculum, which is the British International Curriculum or the American Curriculum. Our learners are able to decide. And both of these are globally accredited and globally recognized programs. We are in 10 countries so far. We have almost 60 hubs, and we have about 1,000 learners. So we have really grown immensely during this past few years, especially since COVID, of people trying to get out of the traditional education system and really focusing on this alternative education system that's really embracing the learner. So a learner-centric approach to education is confusing, I think, for some people. So at BGA, we don't refer to our learners as students, we refer to them as learners. And that's kind of something we want them to carry for the rest of their lives. We don't want it to be a point where there are students and then you move away from students and you just don't need to learn anymore. You're a learner and you're kind of a learner forever. So when we say learner-centric education, we are very much focused on the learner. This means not only in the way of a curriculum and how they actually do their learning in terms of visual learning or book learning or verbal learning, things like that, but also in the sense of what works for you. Individual education, it has to be different. We have to appreciate that traditional education as it stands, having a group of students all learning in the same way isn't going to work for everybody. So what we do at BGA is we really take that and go, okay, the academics are important, the subjects are important, but how is that best for you to learn that information? And so we tailor our programs and we tailor our curriculum and we tailor our support to each learner and to each learner's passions, schedules, preferences, so that they can grow in a way that makes sense and so that they really understand the privilege of education and really understand the importance and want to have an education. So at BGA, we have a personalized curriculum, which does not mean that learners can do whatever they want. What it does mean is that within these accredited curriculums, within the British International Curriculum and within the American Curriculum, you do have subject choice options. That being said, we also have university guidance. So for whatever path you want to take afterward, we can make sure that you're choosing the right subjects, that you're picking the right options for what you want to do into the future. However, what a personalized curriculum really means is that you can go at your own pace. So what we do is you can choose your subjects. You can move along the path, but you move along the path in a way that works for you. Let's say you are great at math. Well, fantastic. Then in a normal classroom, you would have to sit through and listen to every single lesson for every single child. And maybe that's not the right pace for you. Maybe you can gun through, 3 days worth of material in the same day. Great. However, if you're maybe not as great at reading and that's not your strong suit, you can take longer to do that program and to do those subjects and to do those assignments in a way that works best for not only your schedule, because some days you just want to do math, some days you just want to do literature, but also in a way that really helps you to retain the material appropriately so you're not zooming through it and missing something, or alternately getting bored when something is going at a slower pace than your preference. This also has the added bonus of doing something of what we like to call collaboration over competition, which is the idea that for learners, because we had these individualized, personalized programs, I'm doing my work and I'm doing, even if we're both doing, let's say we have two learners doing the British International Curriculum. I'm doing my work at my pace, you're doing your work at your pace. And it means that we can both help each other out and it doesn't feel like we're both gunning for the same grade, that we're pushing for the same thing. And so we feel no need to compete with each other, but more help each other along the way. So BGA really works for this holistic education concept. And what we mean by holistic education is that we're not just focused on the academics. In traditional education, typically you would have, you have your academics, and then maybe you have extracurriculars and things like that. BGA takes this one step further, And we offer not only academics, which is these globally accredited curriculums, but we also offer focus on internships and prepping students with internships to get practical experience. We have things like Build Week, where students can get together and work on soft skills, such as teamwork, such as collaboration. Co-learning in the classroom allows for them to collaborate and push through their academics and get through their academics in a way that works for them, but also in a way that helps them to be able to explain to somebody else what they're thinking. And all of these go toward the idea of the modern workforce. So what we try to do is create this holistic education to push forward and to create a situation where our learners are adaptable and our learners are taking skills and not going, hey, we've told you what to do until you're 18. And then after 18, well, good luck to you. You get into university and you're expected to learn all of this at once, which is incredibly difficult for a lot of people. So what we try to do is this holistic education. So they get these soft skills, they get this adaptability, they get this responsibility and this autonomy, so that when they leave BGA, despite that they're always with us, but when they leave BGA, they can go into the workforce and they can go into whatever future that they have chosen and really take advantage of that to its fullest. So a hybrid education is, once again, a fairly innovative concept. It's not something that's common. And what we do is that means that we take the digital and the in-person and combine sort of the best of both worlds. So this digital curriculum, like I said, is where we do the actual academic portion, where they do their curriculums, where they do their studies. And then we have this in-person portion, which is at the hub in these kind of co-working spaces, and where they are interacting and with their peers. The benefits of doing it this way means that not only do we offer this personalized curriculum, because that's the only way you can do that is through digital means, so that people can individually focus on what they need to focus on. But this in-person component also means that, okay, when you're at the hub, you're at the hub. You're with people, you're with your learning coach, you get to have this benefit of community, but it also means that you can take this with you as you go. So having both of these components goes, if you're at the hub, you get to take advantage of one thing. If you're not, for example, we get a lot of athletes, for example, at BGA. If you need to, we have a lot of, and we're based in Portugal, so we have a lot of surfers, for example. If you need to go surfing in the morning and you come to the hub in the middle of the day and you do your work, because they can go 5 hours to the hub a day, and they can pick within that schedule when they want to be there, they'll be able to go to those 5 hours. And then if they have competition, they'll be able to take that with them. So they'll be able to take that digital curriculum with them, and they'll be able to study on the road until they get back to their hub. So this hybrid curriculum not only allows for this personalization, but also allows for them to really balance their passions with their academics in a way that fits their schedule, so that they understand that education doesn't have to be left behind when they find something that they really love. So our hubs are very similar to co-working spaces. So they are areas with tables, with chairs, with maybe a focus room, and it means that all of the learners are in an open space together, which means 11 to 18-year-olds are in a space together. The great portion about this, because we did have people that were a little bit concerned about this in the initial stages, but actually it's turned out to not only reduce bullying, reduce some of the problematic aspects of having all of these age groups in one class, but it actually means that the older kids feel responsible for the younger learners, and the younger learners want so badly to be respected and see these older kids as role models, that it ends up with this really symbiotic ecosystem where our learners are able to co-learn and have these older kids help them with subjects that maybe they're not as comfortable with, or that these older learners have already done. And these younger learners make sure that these older learners really have that responsibility and are really involved and get to explain things and get to be a part of the educational experience. So We found that this works immensely well. And the dual teacher role is basically, we break down the idea of a teacher in two parts. So a teacher is both academics, but also both a support system. A teacher is never meant to be just a tutor that pops in and says, here's what you need to do, here's what you need to learn, and gets out, which oftentimes happens because there's just too many kids in a classroom. What we get to do with our personalized model, and because we have less people, so in a hub you'll have up to 30 kids, for example, what we get to do is we get to break this down into the academic side, which are our course managers. They're online. Kids can have meetings with them. They're able to talk to them if they have problems, and they're doing marks, and they're experts in their field or teachers themselves. Then we have learning coaches. I consider learning coaches kind of like life coaches. So what they do is they really get to know all of their learners. They know them on like a really personal level. They're friends. They are there as a support system emotionally, but also in terms of organization. Like I said, we do have 11 to 18-year-olds. So some of those people might need more support than others, but it's keeping them organized. It's making sure that they understand their studies. It's making sure that they have this timetable. And it's really the learners that determine this timetable. And the learning coaches are just there to support it. So you go, okay, your exam season, you want to take this exam in May? Cool, what do we need to do to get you there? And they'll support and help them make a plan week by week to understand what they really need to do to get to the end, to this exam season, and really do well with it. So the hubs, we have 2 hubs in Spain. One of our hubs is in Valencia and the other is in Marbella. So both hubs are located really close to the city center. They're about 5 minutes from the city center, with the Valencia hub having the added bonus of being very close by metro as well, metro and bus, and right next to Turia Park, I think. And so the hubs in Spain are in the same way that our hubs are all over the world. They have this co-working space. They have up to 30 learners, and they have a whole mix of nationalities. So they are completely multicultural. You have kids from the US, from Hungary, from Iceland, from a bunch of different areas. Because of this international community, they also work really hard to get involved where they're at. So they do a lot of work. I know specifically, for example, the Valencia hub does Spanish classes because that's something that a lot of the learners wanted at the same time. So they arranged a Spanish class outside of hours for all of the learners at the hub. They are also working, they learn how to make paella or horchata or something that brings them into the community. A large portion is volunteering for us. So we also do volunteering in the community. So we want to make sure that all of these multicultural hubs that we have in both places are really getting involved and making sure that they're not missing out and keeping themselves away in a bubble in school, but instead being already a part and a productive member of the community even before they leave school. So BGA in 3 words are knowledge, skills, and community. Those are our 3 pillars. And it represents each aspect that we have of BGA. So knowledge, fairly obvious. Those are our curriculums. Those are our academic portion. We do understand that school needs to have this element of academics, and it is important for them to have certain subjects so that these learners can do whatever they want to do, whether that is vocational school, university, if that's traveling, if that's starting a business, whatever it is, we want to help them get there. Skills are both hard and soft skills. So hard skills being, maybe the more practical skills that you would get from internships, from networking, which we help to organize. Soft skills being things like adaptability, responsibility, autonomy, collaboration, teamwork. It's all this stuff that they do with their hubs, and we do activities to really push for these soft skills to make sure that they are prepared going forward. Then we have community. So community, like I said, is a very important aspect, and it's not just our Spanish hubs that are doing this. Community means that we have volunteering, we organize activities, we have learners all over the world doing things like painting schools. We have learners in, Mozambique who are painting a primary school in their area. We have Lagoa in Portugal, who's working with a soup kitchen. We have, like they're doing all of these volunteering activities. Even in Valencia, I believe there's a student who's trying to do art projects. Like there's learners all over that are of their own volition because they see how fulfilling it is when we do it, or through BGA organized activities that are really getting involved in the community because we think that's such an important aspect of schooling and such an important aspect of creating a productive member of society.